Hello and welcome to this new course, letting you know how I made $100,000 in 6 months this year, 2020, during a pandemic, and stuck at home. So let's get started. It's important to note that I also did this with around 8 hours a week, give or take one or two. Sometimes it would be a little bit more, sometimes it would be a little bit less. But this was a total of about 8 weeks. And I didn't have that much seed capital because I didn't want to spend a lot on this. I wanted to see how it worked and if people were getting anything out of it before I spent any good amount of money. So this was all done with less than $500 in seed capital. If you are new to me and what I'm teaching here, my name is Arlan. I'm the founder and managing partner of Backstage Capital. It's a venture fund that invests in underrepresented, underestimated founders. Started from scratch in 2015, and I mean with less than $10 in a bank account, with no business bank account. Since then, I've raised and or generated revenues of a total of $16.5 million and counting. And I've invested, along with my team, in more than 150 companies, all since 2015. I'm recording this at the end of November 2020. I'm also the author of a new book called It's About Damn Time. It can be found anywhere online and at your local booksellers. It is a book about empowering yourselves and others to do what you were meant to do, including maybe a course like this. I'm also the host of Your First Million, a podcast that interviews people from all walks of life about how they made their first $1 million or got their first 1 million downloads, et cetera, which has been a lot of fun to do. And I've done over 100 episodes of the Bootstrapped VC, which we did a few years ago, and a lot of it is still relevant today. It's about entrepreneurship and startups in particular. This is what we're going to cover in this course. First of all, we're going to have a deep dive case study of my course. So it's going to be very meta. So the online course that I have, which is called How to Raise Capital for Your Company from Scratch. I launched it in April of this year, 2020. And since then, as I said before, I've made about $100,000 with it. And that's through a 6-month or so period. So it doesn't even count the last few weeks. And we'll do for the first time, I'll go under the hood and let everybody know what the stats and traction was and how I got there. I'll talk to you about getting started on what could be your course if that's the route you want to take, some of the tools that I've used and continue to use, further study. This is just an intro to a very complex and rich tapestry, and so there are more people who have much more in-depth courses that you could take, so I'll talk to you about that as well, and then any other resources that I think would be helpful. Now, the cool thing about this is that if you're listening to this and watching this right now, in less than 2 hours, you'll know all this information. So you don't have to kind of buckle up and get ready for weeks and weeks of learning, which is the model of my other course, which is a long-term course. This one, I wanted to have you in and out, ready to go, and ready to start today. Some housekeeping notes just to make this a little bit of a better experience for you. I would recommend that you listen in a quiet room or use headphones. I know we're all sort of stuck in weird situations right now, so it's not the easiest thing to do, especially if you have a large family or if you have roommates. But you're going to get the most out of this if you can pay attention to it and kind of keep attention on the topics at hand, especially because this is a shorter course. Also, take handwritten or typed notes to help you retain the information more and better. It's going to be very helpful, again, because we're going to be moving pretty fast, and this will help you understand. Of course, you can always come back and watch this over and over at your leisure. And then the most important thing is to go at your own pace. Repeat modules if you need to. There's no one testing exactly how fast you do this, or this is sort of the honor system. So keep at your own pace with your circumstances. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I wanted to talk about, well, this is a picture of me, by the way, if you don't know me. I wanted to tell you what you'd be able to do after you take this course. Again, it'll be less than 2 hours from now. After you take this course, you will know the traction of my course to date as of November 2020, which is a lot of information that I haven't shared before. You'll have a clear understanding of what steps to take if you're wanting to start a course yourself. You'll have the tools you need to make sound, lucrative decisions for yourself and start acting on those decisions immediately. And you'll potentially save money and time by avoiding costly mistakes, potentially make money by executing on those ideas that are sparked here today, and ultimately, you'll feel empowered to take next steps, whatever they may be. And I want us to get started, and I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to your feedback. If you skipped the first video, please go back and watch it. It's only 6 minutes long, and it will give you the great foundation and information that you'll need for this course. So we're going to start with the information. We're going to just jump right into the what, which I know a lot of people signed up to see, so I wanted to start there. The case study is me, Arlan. I launched How to Raise Capital for your company from scratch. I launched that officially in April of 2020. So this pilot period was about a 6-month period, give or take, from April to October. And a little bit more than $100,000 was earned total. It comes out to about $16,000 per month in revenue. It's important to note the profit margins there because a lot of times projects like these and even numbers that you see from other people, you might not understand or know what money was put into it. And so this is truly just a labor of love from me. It wasn't any big process that I wanted to do. I didn't go and get outside funding for it or anything like that. I just wanted to launch a course. I had been thrown off course this year, as many of us were with COVID, and had so many plans for my book tour and for speaking engagements, which are really lucrative these days. And all of that changed within a matter of 72 hours in March of this year. And so I said, well, what should I do? There are a few things I had to figure out. One of them was, let me have some fun and see if I can bring in another new revenue stream, doing something that I enjoy, and give it a go, because now is the time. So try to practice what I preach, and I'm always talking about experimenting and going for things. So that's what I was doing with this. These stats are for the first time being revealed. I have approximately 250 paid full course students. So what this means is I have 2 different courses under that banner. One is a full course that used to cost $360. Sometimes there were coupons and things like that, which made it half off or 30% off or 40% off. Today, November 2020, it now costs $597. So the price did go up, and that was a choice I made. I wanted to start with something that was very inclusive and something that was achievable, just to see how it would go and what people would say and get that feedback. You want that early feedback from your course. You want that early viability test to see, is it working? Are people getting something from this? So while I believe my full course, which has over I think 45 videos and 15 or 16 hours worth of footage and audio, it's a $2,000 course easily. It's still manageable at $597 today. But these numbers are based on that first pilot that we did, or I did. So that's 250 paid. There are a total of 527 students in that course, however, because early in the spring, I put out a scholarship for college students and high school seniors who were displaced because of COVID. and wanted to study entrepreneurship. So they got a full ride scholarship to join the course. And so, as you can see, several of them did, and from all over the country, which was really exciting. That is still in play, but it has been limited now because things have evolved over time and a lot of schools are back and things of that nature. Now, you'll see here that I have 5,000 plus students in a fast track version of this, and it says a bundle. So there are two courses under this banner of the same name, but one is a fast track course. The full course has many case studies, has other people involved, has guest lecturers, including Laura Huang from Harvard University, Ed Zimmerman from Lowenstein Legal, and others, and has all sorts of interactive things like comments and community and a monthly live office hour session. So all of the things you'd want, all the trappings of a great interactive course, which are really fun. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And so that's the full kind of, again, the 360 is a really important number for me. It has always been most of my life. So that 360, getting that 360 feel, again, the current price is $597. The fast track has no commenting. It has no case studies. It has no community. So none of the 3 C's. But it does have the bulk of the information. It has a lot of modules. It gets the job done. It's shorter, but it's still intensive and inclusive. And it costs $200 on its own. I've also been part of a bundle, which many of you may have seen earlier this year, where a group out of Europe got together, almost 100 different course creators, and put together a bundle where for $100 you could get access to all types of courses. And it was really an amazing deal. I got it myself. My mom got it. I know a lot of people did. And so the deal there was that if you were a course creator in the bundle, and it was invite only, if you were a course creator, you got $70 for every $100 bundle that was sold that you directly sent people to, which with your affiliate code. So I did 474 of those during that time with a few Instagram posts and my mailing list. And that totaled 33,180. So going back to the 250 in the paid course, that's 52,700 was the approximate amount that's come through just from people paying. So just 250 people paying the full course, are really paying a portion of it, actually. I mean, this is a combination of full price, coupons, things like that. And then the bundle was the 474 that I directly sold. And then those 5,000 come from the entire bundle. So let's say 50,000 people actually bought the bundle. I don't know exactly the number, but it was something in the tens of thousands. And 5,000 plus of those, including the 474 who I directly sold to, have signed up for their piece of the bundle, which is the fast track. So you could not access the full course if you were part of the bundle. And that was just an arrangement that was made. But you can see getting creative, being part of these bundles, they happen a lot. You can start your own. You can get creative with and invite other people or be invited to. And do some research, and you can see that's about a third of the 100K that was generated this year in 6 months alone. So it was definitely lucrative, and it was also fun, and it was also a great deal for the end user. Now, the last one here listed is 85 business-to-business bulk, I'm calling it, for a total of $15,300. So what I did was, because I'm talking to all these corporations and other fund managers and organizations who want to give their audience some access, some special access, scholarships or grants or et cetera. I said, well, if you buy more than 20 seats in the full course, that's normally $360 at the time, I will give you 50% off. And that was just a decision I made. You can be creative with that. You may say it's only 20 or 30% off, and only after 100 do you do the 50% off. But this was a decision I made in that moment. So there were two separate organizations who purchased a total of 85 bulk seats, and that was about $15,000. So if you add all of these up, if you add the direct cost, including with coupons for someone to sign up for the full course, if you add the bundle I was part of that you can find a way to be part of yourself or you can create your own, and if you add getting even more creative and talking directly to companies, other organizations like yours, and other people in your industry about, hey, do you want to get 10 of these? And if you do, I'll give you a percentage off, a great bulk rate. It has all total this amount. So I'll leave this on the screen just for a second for you to take a look at. Okay, now going to the next page. A few things to note. I did not hire anyone. Like I said before, this was not meant to be its own standalone company. I wasn't going to spend a lot of money for this. And so I just put some elbow grease into it. This was me running this, really putting a lot of my own energy and thought into it. And I had some fun doing it. Later, I would go on to bring in a couple of friends to make notes, to make the full course experience even more beneficial and valuable by adding course notes to it. And then I would either pay them a flat rate or have a little bit of commission on the price of the course. My startup costs came from my teachable.com fee, which is the platform that I use. You're on that right now, most likely watching this. It's teachable.com fee, which is monthly. And there's tiered pricing, which is anywhere from, free to 30, 50, 100, 200, et cetera, depending on what you need and what your wants are. So you can take a look at those. Now, anything that I talk about in this course that I want to link you to, I'm not getting any kickback or any commissions on. It's just a choice I've made in this course so that you can just go right to it and do the research yourself because there's so many options. However, just a little bonus note, you can also get commissions on different things by teaching people. So in your course, for instance, if your course is about how to braid hair and you know that there is a special hair braiding tool that has an affiliate program, it would be very smart to become an affiliate of that program and include that in your course so that the people who are learning from you are also clicking off and clicking out to different things, and you're making a little bit more income that way. I also have a Canva Pro subscription. It's actually what you're seeing right now. This beautiful purple and white that I just typed up, this all came from Canva. I'm very non-design literate, so it's been a godsend and very, very helpful. So it's absolutely worth the money. I don't even know how much it costs, but it's absolutely worth it. It's probably $15, $30 a month. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. They even have a free version that will get you started. Now, I did have the luxury of having access to a MacBook Pro, and that's what I used at the beginning to film, download, and I downloaded some screen sharing tech, but now I use Loom, which I'm using right now to record this video. So Loom.com makes things really, really, really easy. You record off your screen or you can record off your camera or both. I'm choosing the screen-only version and audio. And then you have that in your file and you upload that to a Teachable or one of its competitors and you're good to go. Now, eventually I did spend some money on paid advertising, mostly on Instagram, and a little bit on commissions for affiliates, which I'll talk about later. But again, that's 5% or so of the total that I had, and I did not start spending money on that until after I had traction to show me that once people see the landing page, they like the landing page, and there's some conversion there. So again, I spent about 8 hours or less per week most of these weeks. And in the next module, we'll tell you more about what I spent that time on. Now that we know the information about the outcomes, I'll tell you how I did it. So around March and April, as I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about ways of generating a personal income and also teaching other people about doing the same during this uncertain time. And so a perfect combination, a perfect storm was to create an online course that I would charge for, and the contents of that course would teach other people, hopefully, how to generate income, how to save money, how to start raising capital for their companies if they chose to, etc. So when I made the decision, I started working on a few things. One of the first things I did, this wasn't the very first thing I did, but one of the first things I did was I sent a message out to an engaged group of people who follow me on social and who have engaged in other things before, like my book release. And I sent out asking them what topics they would love to hear. What is that main topic you'd love to hear from me if I were to start an online course, in my very first online course? Over a 2 or 3 day period, I received about 100 responses, and 50 of them were unique. So, of course, you had some repeats. And I then took that list and I wrote every single one down, and I started making a list and grouping things together. So I took that larger list and started grouping them into common themes and topics. And that way I was able to see, what do people want to hear from me? Now, of course, I had the title of the course. I knew I wanted it to be about raising capital for your company because I had a lot of experience doing that and teaching other people how to do that. And so the topic itself was already figured out, and that's really important that you kind of start there. Give them something. But you go to a group of people. It can be 10 people, it can be 100, it can be 1,000. Maybe it's a Facebook group, maybe it's your Instagram audience or your Twitter audience or a mailing list or a group of people you already work with. And you say, what would you want to hear from me? And so with that information, I was able to start culling a curriculum and putting it in different order that made sense. And it was pretty, it helped me see how much information people wanted. Now, as I said in an earlier video, the course I ended up creating has over 15 hours of curriculum. This course, having the one you're in right now, having 1 hour to 2 hours of curriculum. So you can imagine how much more there is to learn there. And probably should have been priced at $1,000 to $2,000, but I started it at $360. Now, there are other courses you can take that have more information about pricing, about starting the course, etc. We'll talk about a couple of those a little bit later. But this course, this one you're in right now, is simply to get you going, to get you started, to see what I did so you can get that that course started if you want to, or even make the decision if you want to or not. So I put that together, and then I sent out a message and said, hey, I'm going to start an online course soon. Be on this waiting list if you'd like to learn more info when it's launched. And so that was my way of seeing, kind of testing the waters to see if anybody would be interested in that. And of course, I got several people writing back. I personally used a texting platform called Community, and that has a very large waiting list. So if you're already on it, great. If you're not, don't worry about it. Use something else. And just go to a group of people who you already interact with. And again, there are other courses about how to start and build a list if you don't have one already. But this course that you're in right now is simply letting you know what I did. Part of the process too was that now that I had this general outline, I set up the Teachable account that I'd already opened and started figuring out that's what I want to use. But I started to etch out the blueprint of what the course would be. And Teachable lets you move things up and down and kind of change your mind and delete and duplicate and all sorts of things. So you can really get in there and start working on it pretty early. My plan was to complete one module per weekend for approximately 8 weeks. So I had approximately 8 modules in mind. And I would roll out, I would create the module, which I'll tell you how I'll do it next. And then I would roll out that module each week. So a module might have 2 lectures, it may have 6 lectures, and each of those lectures may be 2 minutes to 20 minutes. And the module itself is a theme, like, the overview of something, or how to get started. Here you'll see you're using this again, it's very meta. I have these lectures within a module. So the teachable drip feature makes that really easy to do, that schedule that I had in mind. And I knew that I needed to be flexible, but this is kind of the game plan going into it. So the Teachable has a feature that lets you drip, so you can actually put the titles of the next modules and the dates of when they're supposed to come out and set it up to schedule to drop. So it kind of keeps you accountable too, because I knew, okay, of course I could always change it or cancel it, but it was something that let me know this is going to drop on Tuesday of this week, of this certain week in the future. I need to go ahead and record it on the Saturday before then, so that it's ready for my students. And it helps keep you accountable, organized, and is a lot of fun again. And I'm not getting any kickback from Teachable. I just happen to really like the interface. Now you may see there are 2 or 3 really viable options for online courses, and there are probably a dozen options. So you might like another interface better. Now that weekly process, what I would do is, again, I have 2 or 3 main companies, so I couldn't spend a lot of time on it during the week, but I knew I was going to have to spend some time on it, especially because I didn't want to outsource it. So my plan was 1 day a weekend I was going to put towards this, because you have to also understand that I was really enjoying the process of learning if I was going to be a good teacher myself, a good professor, a good person who imparts this wisdom on other people. And it was the first time I was really doing that officially and calling myself that. So I was learning along the way. This was not all for the idea of making money. So it was worth it to me to spend a few hours on a weekend. I chose a Saturday or Sunday, and it was just dependent on what my schedule looked like. If I was tired from the week, if I was really inspired, if I'd wake up on a Saturday morning and just raring to go, I would do it. If I woke up on a Saturday morning and just wanted to watch binge Netflix all day, then I'd say, okay, we'll do this on Sunday. And every single weekend I was able to do it. I would create slides like the ones that you're seeing right now. This slide right now was created in Canva, as I mentioned earlier. I would create those slides based on, okay, I have the module title, I have notes that I've written myself, and now I'm going to create the slides in Canva. At the very beginning, I attempted to do a script and to do have a reader, kind of a script, a prompter online. And I tried to record this on camera, and I was terrible at it. I'm not a very good actor. So I was reading this and I was pretending that I was kind of having these emotions and being excited about this sentence or this word. And you could see my eyes moving, and it just wasn't good. So I stopped that. I spent about an hour and I said, no, that's no good. So what I did instead was I just made some notes like I'm doing now, and then I talked about those notes. So you're going to have your own style. Many of you are going to want to record yourself on film. You're going to want to move around. You're going to want to show things, screen share, use Zoom, use Loom, use whatever. And some will want to do it other ways. And so you can also, within the same course, use different mediums and different ways that you do it. Then I would record. Once I had the slides, I would always do it in this order. I'd make the slides, all of them first for that week. And that took about an hour and a half. Sometimes it would take less, sometimes it would take more. Then I recorded, and I made sure I was in a quiet room and I had a great background and everything was a pleasant experience for the people who would be watching it. I made sure my sound was good. I made sure that I was ready. And I would record it, or I would screen share, or I'd use audio, depending on what I had decided that week. And if you are a student in that course, you know that there are a great deal of different ways that I present. One thing I should mention that I didn't mention before in the costs lecture is that I did spend some money on having every single video captioned and then transcribed into at least Spanish, sometimes more languages. this is important to me. I used rev.com, rev.com, to do both, to both transcribe and to caption and to translate. And it was just important to make it inclusive in that way. And it was important, as I'm doing now, you'll see this is, if you haven't noticed yet, if you click on the CC in this video, you will be able to see the captions. So it was important to do so and to make it available in more than one language at the time. So that was maybe for every module, it was probably $100. So maybe a total of about $1,000 spent on 8 modules, give or take. I then edited, labeled, organized, and uploaded to the platform. In my case, that was Teachable. So again, you have these different videos on your laptop. You've recorded it, you've looked at it, now you gotta look at it. Sometimes when I was doing modules and lectures that were 20 minutes or 30 minutes long, I would maybe have a mistake or something happen. Over time though, I really started doing one take. I really stopped doing the whole thing where I would go in and edit because it was taking up too much time, and also because it didn't need to be perfect. So, you might be in front of an audience or in front of a classroom, and you may make a mistake or say something wrong or cough or whatever that I've just done in this one, and I'm not going to go back and edit that and spend all that time. Now, some people may say, hey, it's very important that I have this edited and it has a very clean, no mistake thing. That's your vibe. You may have the time and the skill to do that. I just didn't have either at the time. Then I labeled it, gave everything a name, because people are going to be able to see some of the names of your files, so you can label the files, you get everything organized, you see how it matches your blueprint, and you upload it. Eventually you get everything uploaded to the platform, which takes some time, and you're able to preview it. Again, in Teachable, you're able to preview it. I'm imagining in Thinkific and all the other ones, you can preview it, and you can imagine what it's like as a student to see the different modules. Then I would review it as a student and as someone from a different perspective, and I would write some helpful notes for each one. Over time, I had 2 or 3 other people coming in, and they would write notes and write more and more notes. And now we have a full accompanying note PDF. We have all sorts of helpful things there, but it can start off small. It can start off with just you doing it. Now, throughout the week, more of the time was spent on announcing the new modules, which you can do internally. You can use it as a way of promoting again. Hey, there's even more content. Come check it out if you haven't already signed up. You want to tell your current students you have new content to remind them, because remember, when someone signs up for an online course, especially if it's more than 2 hours long, they may forget about it. They may forget they even paid for it. So you want to make sure you're doing a good job of balancing, letting them know, reminding them, and not getting on their nerves. Another thing I'll note that is not listed here, but I was just reminded of, the people who paid for the course are the ones who have spent the most time on the course and have been engaged more. The people who received it for free have spent less time on it, by and large. Not every single time is this the case. The people who received it as part of the bundle, of course, that's a mixed bag. Some people spend a lot of time on it because they find great value, and some people just signed up because it was part of a bundle. But the point of it is, you should not feel worried about charging for your information, because actually when people pay for something, they spend more time learning that thing and they get more out of it. And again, there are other courses that will teach you how to price, what to price, et cetera, teach you about building lists, teach you about the content that goes into your course. This is more about just the overall how I did it. So we'll go into the next lecture and we'll talk a little bit more about some tools that I used. Here's some more notes I wanted to give you, some tools, further learnings and readings, I guess. Okay, so I've mentioned it a few times now, Teachable.com. I decided to use this after looking at 2 or 3 of the most viable options I felt. All of them were really good, actually. They all looked really clean. Teachable just kind of worked for me a little bit more. It was more, I liked the culture. I liked the classes that were already on it. I thought that the leadership looked cool, and now I've gotten to know the CEO just a little bit. But ultimately, you can Google any sort of online course creation platform, and you can use whichever one. I think you'll be in good hands. Canva, I recommend a pro membership. Again, it can't be more than $20 a month, I think, and it is very, very, very well worth it. Every slide that was used here was built on Canva. I did it myself just for a few minutes each slide, and it's just so, so helpful, and I've used it all throughout my course, my main course, How to Raise Capital for Your Startup. Loom.com, this is a new one for me. I'm actually using it right now to record this. Before, I had to use all like kind of plugins and this and that and go over here and go over there. And it was a lot to learn at first, even though it was still took a couple hours only. But Loom makes it really easy just to record, and you record your screen, or you can be on camera, or you can be both, and then you upload it and download it, and you're good to go. You download it from Loom once it's finished, which I'll do now in a few minutes here, and then I can upload it to Teachable, and then it's ready to go. And it's just really great. I have a business membership, I think is what it's called, and maybe a pro membership. Just a few dollars a month, and incredibly helpful, especially after going 6 months where I had to do everything kind of manually. Another thing is, please have a friend or 2 or 5 review your content and give you some feedback, especially at the beginning. You don't have to necessarily reveal everything to someone or to your whole audience right out the gate, and you might be a little scared or a little concerned about, is this worth the price, that and that. Great way to do it is just to have a couple of people, whether they work in your industry or not, or even care about the topic, just have them take a look at it over a weekend and review it. And you don't have to rush into anything. I wouldn't recommend doing a huge course at the beginning, and a lot of people say that who are course creators. You kind of start off small and then build from there. And you can have more than one course. You can have more than one topic. It's really cool. I have Arlan's Academy, which I'll talk about in a minute, and I can put up all kinds of topics and bring other people in, and it's a really flexible thing. So if you're at home right now, or you're at the office, or you're visiting friends and family or whatever, and you're just thinking, I lost 30% of my income this year for whatever reason, this might just be a really fun, semi-easy, I'm not going to say it's easy, but semi-easy way to complement and offset a little bit of that loss while imparting wisdom on other people. So work on it a bit at a time, but have a full plan when you go. So I would not recommend just jumping in and saying, okay, I'm just going to see if people want this and they pay for it, and then I'll do it. A lot of people say to do that. That's just not my vibe. I would say you don't have to film it all and record it all and create it all, but definitely have a end-to-end plan for what you want to be in the curriculum and who you want to be your students and what kind of capital you want to raise, all of that. I mean, meaning generating revenue, not raising outside. Have that in mind, even if you have to be flexible and it changes, before you really send this out to the world, to the real world. One of the things I did early on before I launched the course is I did purchase Lewis Howe's webinar training and his Inner Circle course for a pretty penny. And I didn't so much do it for him to teach me how to build courses. It was more about, let me get into the world, let me dip a foot in and dip a toe in and see what this world is all about and see what he's doing and what his modules look like, and, kind of digging in to see what he does rather than necessarily what he says, because he can teach me, but I can also learn by, okay, he has 6 modules and each module has this many lectures and this is his interface and he uses this platform and I like that or I don't like this. That was really what that investment was about. So it's just a suggestion. There are many others you can look at as well, including Danielle Leslie, who is just very well known in this space. She is where you go if after this intro, if you really want to do a deep dive into starting a course. I believe her courses are around $2,000, as are Lewis's. And it's about if you want to make this a major income stream. And you might do what I did, which is get started with this sort of intro. And then when you start to see if you like it or not, or it's generating money, you really know, oh, let me go and invest in really learning as much as I can here. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos and other videos that were for free. I looked up different interviews, podcasts. I studied kind of as a case study that I created myself of Jenna Kutcher and Amy Porterfield, who are both really good at generating income with online courses and have become friendly with both of them actually over time, which is interesting. And so it's just kind of knowing that world and all the players. There are many players. You also have to look out for some snake oil salesmen. I mean, there are going to be some people who just charge you a lot of money for nothing. These, I would say, I felt a great value from all of them in one way or another. And really, it's about doing your research and knowing what you can afford and not spending a ton of money up front. It's just my suggestion. Now, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my own course. You can go to arlansacademy.com and you can actually download for $597 my course, which is a deep dive in just raising capital and generating revenue through bootstrapping in general. But you can take everything you just learned that I told you and see it in action. See what I did. Learn from what I did. Not necessarily what I said. So you do a combination of both. So Arlan's Academy, you go to that website, you type in your email address, and then it'll take you to the page. It gives you all the information about the different modules you'll see. And then even if you don't sign up for it, you can just see kind of what my landing page looks like. The landing page you'll see at Arlan's Academy most likely is not the one that I started with. I started with the Teachable landing page, which is not as fancy, but it got the job done. And the new landing page is actually something I paid extra for. It had an outside source do it. And that's when I started investing more capital into it, still with that 80% profit margins that I gave you before. So it's still all of this advertising, doing the new kind of facelift, doing any kind of commissions, all of those things still was less than 20% of the overall. Another thing you can do, I mentioned a little bit earlier, is for added revenue, or even if you don't want to start your own course, but you do want to generate some income from other people's courses, just become an affiliate. So start a website, a real simple website, and become an affiliate for other people's courses, like mine. Mine has a 30% commission rate at Arlan's Academy. You can just click on, it tells you at the bottom to click on it to learn more. And you can do that. What if you did that for 5 or 6 courses, but you drew people into your site and said, this is like, these are different ways you can learn this and learn that. And for every sale that you help make happen, you get a percentage of it. And so I think it's like a really clever workaround. You don't even have to start your own course to do that. And I think there's some clever people who are going to do that and actually make a pretty good living. Now, you can do both. You can have your own course and also promote other people's courses as long as you get that commission. And you can do that throughout your course if you want, or you can do it as a separate thing. Main thing here, as we end here, is to say, set goals. It's important to say, what do you want out of this? Don't just get started and kind of not have any expectations, because you don't have anything to measure it against if you don't. So set goals, but be flexible, knowing that this is going to be different for everyone. You do not have to generate $100,000 in 6 months to be on par with anybody. That's just my experience. There are people out there who have generated like $2 million in 6 months who probably saying, oh, okay, 100,000 is cute. And then there are other people who are saying $100,000 in 6 months would change my life. So make the goals what you want them to be, what are interesting to you and impactful to you, and then be flexible, knowing that things can change and we don't really know what's going to happen next. But that online course industry is just booming, and I've personally made a couple of recent investments in online course companies. So it's just booming, and it's pretty democratized. Anybody can become a teacher of the internet. So I would say have that in mind. Also, impart wisdom and have fun. Most importantly, have fun. You're going to get to impart wisdom on people, You may not even think you were qualified to be someone's teacher until now, until you've heard this and say, wait a second, I know something about something. I have 30 minutes worth of information that I can charge somebody $30 to hear, and maybe 1,000 people want to hear about that over time. You never know. So I wouldn't count yourself out. If you have learned anything, if you have gained any traction, if you have done anything that's interesting, like look back at your last 10 years, have you done anything that's interesting that somebody else may have asked, people have asked you, how did you do that? Or you may have wondered, can I put this into an hour-long module? This is your time. This is really it. So hopefully this has inspired you. It's taught you something really quickly. Like, look how fast we went through that, hopefully it taught you something and you're ready to go and you know what to do next. Appreciate it.